right, Julie and Kate, thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure to work with you and the Windsor team on this really important search. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes today to talk about the school and the role and what's important for you. But first, just give us a bit about your background and what drew you to the school. Julian, why don't you hop in first?
My name is Julian Braxton, and I'm the Director of Community and Inclusion. I'm also a member of the History Department, and this is my 26th year at Windsor. And it's really hard for me to even think that it's been that long because it's gone by so quickly. And it's just been a wonderful community that I first heard about all those years ago at a job fair. And I remember then the then upper school head talking about the school in some really amazing ways. And then she said, it's an all girls school. And I said, I don't want to teach at an all girls school. And I started to walk away. And she followed me and she said, just come to Windsor and you will see what I mean. You will love it. And so she was right. I came to Windsor. For a school tour and for information from faculty and students. And what I found was an amazing community of learners, of students, of faculty. That really is, we're a small school, grades 5 through 12, 475 students. It's a family, and I think that's the thing that I've come to be a part of that has been the best decision that I've made as a professional to be part of this community. I describe Windsor as a school that is always thinking about how can we think about an issue and be better at it. Our We're talking about this idea of Windsor leads, and I think Windsor leads in so many ways. And part of leading is really thinking about what it means to be a real 21st century school to the needs of our students and faculty and staff as well.
Wonderful. That is outstanding. Kate, talk about your background and your role.
Okay, my name is Kate Casper. I'm the associate head of school, and I actually came to visit Windsor after a tenure at three different independent schools before coming for my interview. And like Julian, I didn't know much about all girls education. I didn't know much about the experience of a day school. I had worked on 500-acre campuses at different boarding schools, and I drove up to Windsor down this little tiny alley and stepped on campus and immediately fell in love with the place. And a lot of that had to do with the adults that I met, but also the students that I saw. I saw them in classes. I saw them engage with really difficult topics at a very high intellectual level. And I thought, wow, this is just the perfect place to teach and to grow, both as a teacher and an administrator. And Windsor's a school that lives its mission. We love our students. We believe in the relationships that we build with our students, and we believe deeply that the best learning happens in the context of those relationships. So it was an easy choice for me when the opportunity arose, and I'm so glad I chose it.
I will say I've been to your campus and I'll be there again. And it is outstanding, spectacular, and just the dynamic and innovative spirit and the community. I could see it. The facilities are brilliant. It's in a wonderful location. So many great things that are going on. Talk a little bit, both of you, about just what is sort of the snapshot of where things are right now. With the program and what is just a little bit inside the hood, if you will, around academics, student life, and just the overall teaching and learning program. Kate, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Windsor does not sit still. That's one of the best things about working in this community. And one of the things that we have undertaken is a full-scale curriculum review, beginning in fifth grade all the way through our 12th grade. And by curriculum review, I mean exactly that. We are looking at every single thing we teach at each grade level and how those skills spiral through those grade levels all the way until the point at which students graduate. We also examine regularly our school schedule to make sure that we are balancing the high demands that we put on our students with their health and their wellness and all the different things that they want to do outside of the classroom. And we are thinking all the time at the department level about the texts that we're teaching, the content, and the pedagogy so that we are really ensuring an excellent education for our students.
Super. Julian, what would you add?
One of the things about Windsor is that there are many independent schools in the Boston area. And Windsor has the distinction of being one of just maybe two schools that are actually in the city of Boston. And I think that is part of our uniqueness to be able to be a city school. And one of the things I think about how we can use the campus and have used the campus as a part of our program. And so you'll find students in art class, for example, going to the MFA regularly as a part of their course of study. I teach a course where students have an opportunity to engage in neighborhoods in Boston. So being a city school is something that we take great pride in, and we really use the city to our advantage. I also think part of the characteristic of Windsor are students that are just, it's really hard to describe the energy and the passion they come with to class each day. And that inspires us as educators to be our best. And it's been amazing. There's regularly, my office is next to Kate's office. Regularly, I say to Kate, "Are students this great everywhere?" And she'll say, "No, actually, they're not," because it's just something about the Windsor students and faculty that really creates community and a partnership that really, I think it's all about being the best that we can be in every capacity.
Great. Well, speaking of community, your community is changing a little bit in the sense that we have a head of school transition that is occurring at the same time as this director of technology transition, which is why we're talking here today. So a new head is coming. It's exciting. Big moment for Windsor. And a new director of technology who will be a peer to both of you and serve in the leadership team cabinet. So you both see from that macro point of view the importance of technology for the school. I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about that and where you see technology playing a key role both now and going forward for the school, and what you're hoping for from a partner in the administrative council. Julian, you want to start?
I think about the opportunity to have a colleague as a part of senior admin that is bringing the mindset and the skill set of technology leadership in so many ways. One of the things I keep thinking about the opportunity for both the practical stuff that happens every day, making sure that everything is up and running, which is, with technology, things can go wrong often. That nuts and bolts, and the opportunity for innovation. I think Windsor is a school that is really looking to and has always been very innovative. And part of the innovation is technology, really thinking about how can we use what is cutting edge for our students and for our faculty, not only in terms of workflow, but also in terms of program. Um, the key thing that you mentioned is that this technology director is part of the leadership team. And I think it's important to note that, you know, as a part of that leadership team, that person is bringing not only their insight into technology, but their insight into schools, right? And so, even though I am a member of that team, I'm bringing my insight into uh, equity and inclusion into the conversation, but I'm bringing my lens into school life. And so, to have a technology person that is really interested in the life of school and teaching and learning is all a part of the opportunity that I see for this job.
Great. Kate, what would you add?
I would echo what Julian just said. I think what's so magical about the administrative team is not just our experience and our collective experience. This is my 11th year, and I'm one of the younger senior administrative members in terms of tenure, but also that we are an egoless team. We come together and we share ideas, even outside of the parameters of our job. So not a day goes by when I don't go to Julian and do some kind of a gut check on a meeting I just ran or decision that we've made that may have nothing to do directly with his role as director of community and inclusion, but might very well have something to do, as he said, with his experience in school, with his interactions with students, or his knowledge, frankly, of the other colleagues that are in the room. And so a director of technology coming in will not only find him or herself themselves in the middle of an incredible room of experienced people, but will find that person's voice, the new director of technology's voice, will be welcome and will be a huge member of a big think tank that makes Windsor run.
Great. Final question, just sort of a bonus question here for both of you. You've been talking about inspiration and inspiring students. I want to just see if you can maybe just tell me a quick little story about some inspirational moment that you've either been a part of or observed. I just saw so much great learning and engagement and community collaboration among the students. Does anybody in your long tenures at the school stand out? You don't need to name them out, but just a moment where you saw just you were just inspired by what the students were doing or what they were inquiring about or how they were working together either on a big project or within the community or out of Windsor. Just something, a little story that might really just tell Windsor in a nutshell. Kate, anything come to mind
Well, I
for
think a
you?
really short one is easy for me, and that is when head of school Sarah Pelmis challenged every student in our assembly to say something nice to the person sitting next to them before the end of the day. And she said, you have to do this now, but at some point, give a compliment to somebody that you care about. Let's be gracious and in our community. And I was walking out of the assembly behind two of our lower school students, and one of them turned to the other and said, I really like your brain. And they smiled and walked on. That to me is Windsor.
That is outstanding, and that I think that connects right to your vision about students just being engaged and generous minded, if you will. No
Mhm.
pun intended, but that's outstanding. Julian, what comes to mind for you?
I have two stories that come to mind, very brief stories. One, I was working with a student last year who had missed a couple of days because she was ill, and so I'm just helping her with her notes, and she had collected some notes from her class, and she was preparing for a test. And I noticed that as a part of the collective notes she had collected, there were these messages from her classmates, as she was preparing for this test, saying, "You got this." That level of encouragement that the students have for each other is Windsor, and I think I had partly my mind had this idea of competitiveness and thinking about all girls communities. But what I find is really the support that they have for each other has been something that I really admire. And the other story I have to tell is very personal, and that was 2 years ago. I lost my grandmother, and my grandmother is very dear to me. She was 102 years old, and my students knew that. And I had to be out for a few days. And when I got back, they each had written individual notes about things that I had said about my grandmother that they recalled, and they put that into a note and said that they were there for me. And believe me, they were there for me in creating that document that I still have. So it's really a testament to the community of love that we have at the Windsor School.
I
Those,
might share one more, Gabe,
please,
if that's
yeah.
okay. I had the great fortune of visiting a Windsor alum just last week at St. Andrews University in Scotland. And I had taught her in an English class, but I also knew her as one of our students. And we sat down and had a cup of coffee together. And when we finished talking, I asked her, who would you like me to go back and say hello to? And she sort of laughed, she tossed her head back, and she listed maybe 13 different, 14 different Windsor teachers. I have actually forgotten every single person I'm supposed to say hello to her on her behalf, but it was so clear to me that, however many, 3,000 miles away or whatever it is that she is now, she is still actively thinking about the teachers that influenced her throughout her high school years.
Well, all four of those stories I think, poignant, touching, and really do capture Windsor in a nutshell. I want to thank you both for your time, and we look forward to working with you on this search. And thanks so much for spending a few minutes here today.